Hi, my name's Collie Brandon, and I'm so excited to be here with you today to introduce our new podcast here at the Chapel and Green, Life Together. Our prayer is that this podcast will help equip, empower, and encourage you to become closer to Christ. To learn more about our church, you can visit our website at tcig.org. All right, here's the podcast. Hi, welcome to Life Together. This is the new podcast here for the Chapel and Green. My name is Collie Brandon, and I'm really honored to be here today with Jim Hosterman. We're going to be hearing a little bit about Jim's story, his testimony, and really how the Lord has worked in his life through some pretty serious trials. Thanks so much for joining us today, Jim.
You're welcome.
So, Jim, you work here in IT. So, the very first question I've got to ask you is what is your favorite operating system?
Oh, I'm kind of a Windows fan, so
You're a Windows
yeah,
fan.
and we're a Mac church, but
See, Jim is suffering for the Lord already, working here. We work with Mac OS, and he's suffering working on all these Mac OS computers. So we're grateful for that. Can you share a little bit just about yourself, where you're from? Where did you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to college?
I I was actually born and lived out in Randolph, Ohio for 4 years, and then we moved to Bath, Ohio, and I went to Revere High School.
A
And
Minute Man,
yeah, I
the
was a
Revere Minute.
Minuteman. Yes,
Okay.
so that was back when it was a little more farm country than,
Hmm.
than it is now. But went to there, started at Akron U.
Okay.
Kind of was in and out at Akron U. I'd
Hmm.
go for a year and then got out for a little while, and uh, then finally kind of took off for a while, and then ended up graduating from Kent
Yes.
State uh, finally. So it was I was a little older when I graduated from Kent
Yeah.
State. So
And can you tell us just a little bit about your family life, parents, siblings?
I had a sister and two half brothers,
Okay.
and they were quite a bit older than me. So
Hmm.
when I was young, I remember them vaguely being in the house when they were in high
Hmm.
school, but I was pretty young, and I don't remember a whole lot about that. And my sister and my two parents. My dad was an engineer and worked at Goodyear most of his uh, Goodyear Aerospace most of
Hmm.
his career, and my mom, stay at home mom, and she took care of my dad. My dad developed Alzheimer's disease at a fairly young age, so
Hmm.
and she took care of him. But all the kids had already moved out of the house, so we'd go back and try and help her as often as we could. But
Yeah.
that was a big challenge for her. So
Now, would you say that you grew up in a Christian family, or a family that attended church?
we attended church. My mom was raised as a Christian. She had accepted Christ as a young girl,
Hmm.
and but my dad didn't go to church,
Yeah.
and so we just went to a local church out there in Bath. And honestly, I tried to get out of it every time I could. I just,
Hmm.
I was in high school and I didn't want to go, and
Yeah.
I just, I know that sounds terrible, but I, so that's, but in the long run, it was actually my mom that really helped lead me to the Lord. So,
Okay.
so
And when did you um, begin that relationship with the Lord? It's that in a serious way.
I was 26 years old when I accepted Jesus,
Okay.
and it was, one of those things where I'd always said, I'm a good person, I believe in God, and just I finally started to realize I wasn't a good person,
Yes.
and it just seemed like I was living a dark life, and
Mhm.
it kind of scared me, to be honest. And I'd had all these. My mom had always said God put everywhere I worked or went to school, there was always a Christian in my life,
Yes.
trying to get me there. And um, I had, I think it was after I hadn't graduated yet, but I was working at General Tire, and I met an old Nazarene there, and he
Mhm.
really really led me to the Lord. I have to give him credit. He
Yeah.
just really worked on me, and so I finally accepted Jesus, and wow, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
And being a little older, I can't explain the feeling how I felt when I accepted Christ.
Yeah.
I just felt so different,
Mhm.
and like I said, it's hard to put it into words, but I just
Yeah. Now, you know, you're age 26, right? We
yes,
know that. So, uh, you are working here part time, kind of in retirement.
yes.
Can you give us just a kind of a view of what you did throughout kind of your adult life?
I started probably the first good job I had was at General Tire,
Mhm.
and I was just a foreman there. And they had closed their main plant and they moved out, so I was kind of out
Mhm.
of a job and went back to school. I wanted to finish up school, so I applied at Goodyear. I'd been out of work almost a year, I think, but I
Yeah.
applied at Goodyear Tire, and they hired me. They
Mhm.
said as long as I agreed to finish my degree,
Yeah.
they would hire me, and they paid for the rest of my schooling, which
Yeah.
was really a blessing too. And so worked at Goodyear for about 18 years, I think it was,
Mhm.
and they were doing some buying of other tire companies, and it just wasn't a good situation. You know, my wife and I both prayed about it, and we decided it'd be better if I left. And I'd always wanted to do the IT.
Yes.
But unfortunately, when you're a little older and you're trying to break into a new field at a little older
Mhm.
age, it's a little harder than you think it is. Even though I went back and even took some classes to help me,
Yeah.
try and get that. But here again, I give God the credit. I did get in. I got into a hospital up in Ravenna in the IT there,
Mhm.
and worked probably the last 8 or 9 years of my career up there,
Yeah.
and retired then right around 60. I was about 62 when I
Okay.
retired. So
Now, can you tell us just a little bit, even now, about your family, your lovely wife and children and grandchildren, and
we are a blended family.
Mhm.
My wife and I have been married for 26 years,
Mhm.
and we have 7 kids between us and
Mhm.
18 grandchildren.
Wow.
And yeah, Christmas and our apple dumpling festival are always
I bet.
a real treat there each year. So
Yes.
uh, a lot a lot of a lot of screaming and everything else, but
Yes. But you're a wealthy man. I mean, what a
it
blessing.
is. It is.
Yeah.
I often sit there when they're all there and just watch them. I just
Mhm.
enjoy watching them. I just feel that's a blessing too. It
Yes.
just uh,
Yeah.
so
So, um, we're so honored to have you here on the podcast, and
well. I appreciate
obviously,
it.
I
Thank you.
know I know a little bit of your story, and certainly a little bit of one of the main reasons we have you on the podcast is something that happened this past fall. Um, could you tell us a little bit about really that day that changed your life?
um, yeah, it sure did. I always share when I start this story. I share my whole schedule that morning, and how many
Yeah.
people can go back 7 months and remember what they did,
Yes.
did through the morning, but it just has stuck with me, And we got up real early because I had to take my wife to a real early doctor's appointment,
Hmm.
and then I had a dentist appointment. Then we went out to breakfast,
Hmm.
and just went on, and went to another doctor's appointment for myself, and met up with some friends at my house, but I had promised my friend he lives down in Jackson Township, and I'd promised not to come down and help him work on his cars. And I had done this many times, going down
Yes.
and helping work on them. And I never minded. I always kind of enjoyed
Hmm.
doing it. But it's kind of funny that day I just didn't want to go. The sun was out. It was beautiful. A beautiful
Hmm.
early fall day. And I just didn't feel like going. I thought, I just don't want to go. But then I thought, I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want
Yes.
to cancel out on him. He really wanted to get this done. So I go down there, and I don't want to get too detailed on cars, but we were pulling an engine out of one of his cars, and
Yes.
he has several classic cars. And so we got the engine pulled out, and he put it over on an engine stand, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I can
Hmm.
get home early, and that day we were starting. We have a Monday night Bible study at our house, and I thought, oh, I can get home. I can study up a little bit for the
Yeah.
Bible study. And he goes, hey, would just kind of, he wanted to move some of his cars around. And he goes, guide me in on the into the garage. And I go, okay. So I'm guiding him in, and we don't know what happened. We don't, he doesn't know. We neither one of us can figure out exactly what happened, but all of a sudden the car just lurched forward and caught my leg between the bumper of the car and a metal workbench that was behind me. So
Yeah.
I was pinned in there. And so I screamed for him to back up, and I knew immediately. I just knew immediately it was bad. I said, call 911.
Yes.
I was telling him, call 911, and my leg just felt so weird. And
Yeah.
I didn't even want to look down. I was afraid my foot would be backwards or something.
Yes.
I just didn't even want to look at it. So, but I remember I kind of laid myself down on the ground because I was afraid I might pass out. And I just remember praying. I said, God, let me live, but if this is my time, forgive me. And so I don't know how long it was before the emergency squad got there, but they got me in the ambulance, and I never really passed out, but I don't have a real good recollection. I remember one of the guys, one of the EMS guys saying, he's pooling blood in the back of his calf, something, he must be, torn an artery or something. And so I don't know this for sure, but they must have put a tourniquet on my leg.
Yeah.
And I got into the ER, and like I said, time is a little, it's kind of hard to put it all together, but it just hurt so bad. I'd never felt pain like that before in my life. And it just hurt. And I kept saying, can you give me anything for the pain? And they said,
Yes.
we can't give you any more than we're giving you, and it just hurt so bad. And they did a full body CAT scan on me, just to see if there was anything else. And I remember one of the doctors came out and said, well, we got to get you into surgery right away. And he said, he goes, there's a chance you may lose your leg.
Yeah.
And so I, at that time I was hurting so bad, it didn't even really register that much. And I think I remember saying something about, well, if you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
But my wife finally got there to the ER, and she was there help comforting me. And so they take me into surgery, and I told my wife right before, I said, I'm just so thankful to get into surgery and have them put me under, because I just don't want to feel this pain anymore. And so my wife said the surgery was about 6 hours, because they tried to repair the artery, and then they didn't actually repair the bone yet. They just put these big rods that were holding the bone in place until they saw if they could save the leg or not. So, but I woke up the next morning, and I was intubated, and they had my hands tied, and I'm kind of claustrophobic anyway. So I'm kind of moving around. My wife says, they have your hands tied, because you're intubated. And so I finally they came over and they took it out, and I was able to talk. And I said, do I have my leg? And she goes, yes, you have your leg, but you still could lose it. It's not good. So, so then the next 2 or 3 days I was in ICU, and it was kind of a waiting game just to see, and I just, I had so many people praying for me, and I just, I think it's the first time in my life I really felt the prayers. It was just, I don't know, unbelievable. I had this peace like I had never felt before, really. And so we go the 3 days, and the vascular surgeon came in and sat down beside my bed, and he just, I had dealt with this doctor before for another issue, and so he sat down by my bed, and he goes, well, we have to take the leg. We're going to have to. It's going to kill you if we don't take it. And I said, okay, and it didn't, I didn't feel remorse or anything for, and it was just kind of a funny moment. And then he looks at me and he goes, I don't know how you're here. He goes, you should have died. And I think it was right at that moment. Sorry. it was right at that moment that I knew it was just a miracle from God, that
Yes.
I was here and I was here for a reason. And it
Mm-hmm.
totally made the amputation just feel I was okay.
Yes.
I just knew, God didn't save the leg, but
Yeah.
he saved, my
He
life.
saved your life.
And I just know that he has more for me. I just
Mm-hmm.
really do. So that was basically the whole.
Yeah. And so you got the news that they were going to have to take the leg. Um, and did they do the surgery that day, or was there, did they wait till the
They
next
did it
day?
the next morning.
Okay.
Then after I think it was 2 days, and then he sat down by my bed that Thursday night, and it was Friday morning they took
Yes.
it. And here again, another blessing. The surgeon came in, and she was a young doctor, but she held my hand. She just held my
Yeah.
hand. She goes, "It's going to be okay." And
Mm-hmm.
that gave me peace also.
I've got to ask you, because I mean, to me, just it's been special to see how the Holy Spirit and the Lord has worked in your life as you've, looked at this trial from the very beginning and really looked at it in a really with open eyes spiritually. Um, I have to believe that the Lord was using that to minister to the doctors, the nurses, your family. Um, did you feel that as well? Like that it was a chance to
I think I
minister to
did.
them?
My wife kept telling me, she goes, all the doctors or nurses are amazed at how you're
Yes.
taking this and, how you're doing. And I felt, God was really using
Yeah,
me. And I just,
absolutely. Now, what role did your faith play in those initial days of recovery
uh,
after the surgery?
I, I, um, I just felt it, like I said, it was just a different feeling than I'd had in a long time. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like when I first accepted Jesus.
Yes.
It's hard to describe that, and when I was in the hospital almost 2 weeks, and then they moved me to inpatient rehab
Yeah.
facility. And in all honesty, I think I started getting a little depressed when I got to
Yes.
the rehab facility. It was a lot lonelier. There weren't as
Mm-hmm.
many people coming and going. And I think the reality of what had happened was starting to sink in,
Yes.
and they were, teaching me how to walk, even how to get up and how to use a walker and
Mm-hmm.
everything with one leg. And I just um, kept, I just didn't know, quite how to do this, and I just kept praying about the peace, and God really led
Mm-hmm.
me out of the, I don't know if you want to call it depression, but just
Yeah.
kind of led me out of that, and I very thankful to get out of the rehab,
Mm-hmm.
but it really helped. It really helped, and because I was just felt lonely there. I felt
Yes.
lonely, and even though my poor wife was there every day and still working, and uh, so
Yeah. So what would you say some of your biggest challenges were during that time period?
um, it was when I was at the rehab facility. It was
Mm-hmm.
just I just couldn't believe, at first I was afraid to even get up out of bed,
Yeah.
because I wasn't used to it, and I had a new balance.
Yeah.
You're just not the way you used to be, and
Mm-hmm.
so but they're pretty strict. They're pretty strict there. They want you to get up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You have to. They won't let you, because I just wanted to stay on the side of the bed. I could get
Yeah.
up, but I didn't want to get out. And oh no, you have to use the walker, and you have to sit down to eat your food.
Yes.
And so they made me get out of bed, but that was all good. It was all, they were very good at
Mm-hmm.
what they did, because they got me moving, and, therapy started, and it was like 3 hours every day they do
Yeah. Oh,
therapy.
wow.
And that wasn't fun,
No.
but they did, they taught me, they wanted to see how far I could
Yeah.
use the walker with one leg and everything. And,
Yeah.
um, so it was kind of strenuous,
Yes.
because you're trying to hold your whole body up while you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
hopping with the walker. And so
Now, were there any Bible verses or that helped sustain you during that time
I had
period?
I had one during that time that
Yes.
I uh, just the it's actually several places in the Bible, but I like the
Yeah.
one out of Deuteronomy. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed.
Yes.
And I just like that because like I said, I was really lonely, and
Mhm.
I think when I started feeling that and reading that, I just felt it just helped me. It just really helped me.
Yeah.
And a couple other verses people gave me after I was out of rehab, but
Mhm.
people that had gone through this too. The one was Romans 8:28
Yes.
and 2 Corinthians 12:9. And I really, we always hear my grace is sufficient for you.
Mhm.
But the rest of the verse is really as powerful to me as that was, is just, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast, excuse me, all the more gladly of my
Mhm.
weaknesses so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. And that's just what
Yeah.
I just, so I really felt comfort in all
Mhm.
three of those verses, and it's really helped me. And there's quite a few other
Of
ones that I've
course.
read too, but I
Of
think those
course.
three stand out the most with me. So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what has been your biggest adjustment in just your everyday life, since the amputation?
probably time. It
Mm.
takes me so much longer to do
Yes.
things. It takes me longer to dress, get in the shower, just doing things. I'm so
Mhm.
much slower. So to me, that's one of the
Well, you're not slower on that scooter
no, I know.
whipping around the church, but we
Yeah,
we
I have to slow down a little bit on
no,
that,
that's okay.
but
We understand.
yeah. So, and I just think that, and patience. I'm
Yeah.
just so impatient. I just want this to, and I think God just keeps laying on my heart, Jim, and it's in my time, not
Mhm.
yours. So,
Yes.
and He is by this, He's teaching me
Yeah.
patience, and so
Well,
that's
that's a
probably
perfect segue because I wanted to know what the Lord has been teaching you, um, through all this, and so patience has been really one of the main
yes,
things.
yes,
Uh,
patience and humility to let people help me.
mm. Mhm.
I've always been a person that all my life I'll do it myself.
Yes.
I want to do it myself. My wife would say, "Ask for help." I go, "Nope, I can
Yes.
do this," and just fairly bullheaded about it,
Yeah.
and boy, God can humble you very quickly
Yes, it
because
can.
I just had to have help,
Yep.
and I've had so many people help me. It's just really touched my heart,
Yeah.
the the willingness of the people to help me.
Yes.
We had my wife and I, just a silly little story, but my wife and I had ordered this outdoor shed right
Mhm.
before the accident happened, and so they delivered it while I was in the hospital, and my guys that I have Monday night Bible study with, they all said, "Well, we need a fill the shed Jim day," and
Mhm.
I was outside with them, and I just watched them just do all that, take
Yeah.
things and move it in there and everything, and just so many stories like that I could tell you that people have done for me, and
Yeah.
so like I said, being willing to accept the help and
Yes.
patience. So,
What encouragement, would you offer to those that are maybe suffering from an unexpected loss? I really just think about, even with your, experience. I mean, just the suddenness of it, right? You're having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day
yes.
outside, and then boom, you have this sudden life change. As you think about what you went through, what encouragement would you add to those who might be suffering, in the same way with a sudden loss?
That's a good question. I feel, and like I said here personally, because I lean so much on my
Yeah.
faith in Jesus. If they're a Christian person, I would say you got to trust him. You got to
Yes.
trust this. It will be better,
Hmm.
and I don't say this to be flippant, but I'm fine. I'm fine with where I'm at right
Yeah.
now, and they will get there too.
Yes.
And if they're not a Christian, you need to look into accepting Jesus because
Yes.
it's your only hope.
Yes.
It's the hope you need, and So,
What are some goals that you have? Maybe some short-term goals and even long-term goals.
well, from the Christian perspective, I've been praying for God to do, where is this leading me? And I
Yeah.
still don't have the answers yet. I don't
Yes.
know, exactly where this would lead me. I hope I can win souls for Christ. I really do
Yes.
through this. And so that I've really just been praying for that. And um, on a more personal note, I would
Hmm.
like to, um, my wife and we like to camp and we had hiked. Now I don't think I'll be doing any serious hiking
Yeah.
anymore, but uh, we like to hike, and I had gotten into e-biking the last year or so,
Hmm.
and I want to get back on that e-bike.
Yeah.
I want to ride that e-bike again, and I don't know if I'll be able to do this, but I'd like to learn to play pickleball too. So,
Okay.
so
All right.
yeah, so
That's awesome.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
as we wrap things up, how can we be praying for you as a church family?
Um, Going forward, I just pray for God's plan for me. I
Hmm.
just I to be revealed and that I can go forward with it and
Yeah.
be faithful to Jesus and the patience that I
Yes.
mentioned before. Just continue to pray for patience because I do get frustrated from time to time when I can't do something that I could,
Yes.
and I just want it to be done faster. And
Yeah.
I can walk with a walker now, but I can't walk by myself obviously
Yes.
yet. And I guess I thought I would just, in a week I'd be up and walking.
Hmm.
That's not the way it happens. But
Yeah.
so just, pray for my patience in this healing of learning to walk and
Hmm.
everything. So,
Well, Jim, I can't thank you enough for, coming on the podcast. You're our first guest.
well, I feel honored. Thank you.
Yes. And really having a chance working here with you to see you walk through this journey, to see your positivity, to see that peace, which is really perfect peace from the Lord, right, in
It
your
is.
life,
Yes. Yes.
has been an honor and a godly challenge to myself, right, um, and to others. And we see the Lord working through you through this trial. So I just want to encourage you,
Thank you.
really, that you have been a huge
Well,
blessing
thank you.
to this church and to I really believe all that you come into contact with.
Well, thank you. It's not me though. We all know it's just
Listen,
Jesus. But
amen.
I just, I thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. Um, the purpose of this podcast is to equip, empower, and encourage you. So we pray that this podcast did that today. We'd love for you guys to join us for subsequent podcasts as we really tell the stories that make up the Chapel and Green. God bless you.